Thank you, Madam Moderator. Somebody asked a question on confidentiality, whether the Hansard, the proceedings must be confidential until a final report is issued by the committee. With the Hansard, it shouldn't be confidential because it goes to the public. But with the investigative committees or committee of inquiries, the proceedings should be confidential until a report is issued at the end of their work. That's what I meant. And then somebody also mentioned their role as editors. Maybe there are instructions from above that take out this, do that. You don't have to allow yourself to be used. Because if something is to be expunged from the Hansard, it should be done on the floor of the House, or with the express permission of the Speaker of Parliament. No other member, either the majority leader, minority leader, can ask you to expunge something and you do it. If you do it, you are doing it at your own risk. At your own risk. It should be done on the floor of the House, or you request a note from the Speaker before you do it. And then Mr. Obing also raised concerns about access to the Hansard. In fact, during the break, I had a discussion with him. It's a matter of lack of interest by the public. The public is not interested. I remember at the inception of Parliament, we used to have the varsties subscribing to the Hansard, and we're supplying them. We had tertiary institutions subscribing, libraries subscribing, and then we had a souvenir shop where the public could go and buy copies of the Hansard. Along the line, the varsity stopped subscribing. Libraries were not requesting for the Hansard. Public were not coming to the souvenir shop to buy the paper. But anytime they encounter a problem, that's when they rush for the Hansards. Or anytime they want to refer to an issue, then you see them running to Parliament for copies of the Hansard. Even our members of Parliament are not interested in reading the Hansard. They should have interest in the Hansard, but they don't have the interest. You give them copies of the Hansard, they leave them in the chamber, and they are gone. Then tomorrow, if they need something from the Hansard, then they come to the Hansard department. Can I get a copy of these dates? Then we ask them, where is your copy? He will not be able to tell you where he has left his copy. They leave them in the chamber, and then the ushers will collect them and go and sell them to granite sellers to be wrapping granules or roasted plantain. That was the issue. So, as for your concern, it is our own fault. I think there were two questions to me. I've answered them, and I added your concern. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alhaj Abdul Dahamani. Next rejoinder is from Professor Seidu Muhammad Alidu. Welcome, sir.
Okay, thank you so much. There was one question directed to me, and that was whether we need to cite the Hansard when we use it in academic research. Yes, the Hansard is an authoritative public document published by an institution. And if you are quoting directly or you are paraphrasing, you have to cite it in text and then at the reference. Failure to do that, you'll be cited for contempt of academia, plagiarism. It's a very serious offense. If it's a research work or doctoral work, it can lead to the revocation of your work and the recall of your certificate. So we must cite it. And then the other one wasn't a question, but my colleague here talked about building a relationship between academia and then Parliament. I think when I was head of department for political science, we started an initiative with the Library of Parliament. And the process hasn't ended, but before I left, the issue was that we wanted to build that kind of synergy where every doctoral thesis or research work, dissertation or thesis, which is written on the work of Parliament, we share with Parliament the electronic copy, and then Parliament will have it as part of their electronic reservoir of readings. And then the Hansard and other relevant material that's also produced from Parliament, we also get a copy for our library. So the process is still ongoing, and it's part of my handing over notes for the incoming head of department. And I do believe, especially given this circumstance that this issue has come up, we do a follow-up and to make sure that that relationship continue and we all stand to benefit in a way. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor. Next line is Dr. Rashid on concerns regarding the court processes and matters to do with the civil society organization. Welcome, sir.
Okay, so thank you very much, participants, for all the useful contributions. Before I answer that specific question, I want to make a few comments and perhaps throw a challenge. Where is the editor? Is not here. Maybe his colleagues, you might want to be paying attention to this. I think the challenge that we have today, Sami mentioned the fact that, you always would have on your minds whether people are going to read what you are producing. And we have just heard from the former editor that members of parliament don't read the Hansards and the public doesn't. Just yesterday, the UN produced a report on itself, and he said that it is very worried that most of the report that it produces, that's the UN, those reports are not read. And you can imagine how much, in terms of resources, that go into producing UN reports. Most of us reports, but these reports, nobody reads them. The Hansards, nobody reads them until there is an issue. And we are saying we want to build a pipeline of young people who will be interested in politics, in taking up public service. Today, our continent has 426 million young people between the ages of 15 and 35. So the challenge to Hansard and to the various parliaments, how do we get this population, this group, to read or to take an interest in what you produce, whilst ensuring that you cannot truncate what has been said in Parliament. You cannot say what was not said. According to our standing orders, it should be as close to verbatim as possible. So the challenge is, how do we take these records and put them in some form that young people who are now interested in just 2 minutes or 1 minute TikTok videos and so on can get some sense out of what you produce. And so, at least given that we are here, perhaps maybe that's a challenge that we can take together with the Hansard department and see what are the innovative ways that can, because we need to get our generation and perhaps maybe even the generation behind us, I mean, it's completely lost because we are the product of a system that is not working. And I think the hope is on the young people, how do we get these people, first of all, to be interested in public service, but most importantly, public service with integrity. So I think that's the challenge that I wanted to, and then now to the question. Hansard has court documents. I don't know, because what is put there is what we have access to. So maybe the parliaments have to answer this question. Because if I go on the website of the Parliament of Ghana, like Sami did, and then the records are there, well, I mean, that's, I don't know whether the court accepts this, and in our country, the court has accepted, I don't know in what format. Maybe you can tell us from what the minority leader said yesterday. But in the past, when it used to be hard copies, at least when we get the hard copy, we know that this is what has been produced and published. The challenge now is what you put out there on the website. I think those who are interested, if the professor is citing the Hansard, what he finds on your website is what he will use as his authoritative source. So I think the challenge is thrown back to the various parliaments. And then my final comment is on my brother from Nigeria. I think 2 comments there. Then the first one is your system in Nigeria about how once it is produced, then it is official record. But the Right Honorable Speaker yesterday quoted our standing orders here and said that I think the standing orders say until these things are verified and approved by the House, they don't become official records. So I think it depends on the jurisdiction. And then finally, your comment about the campaign promises. I think that's a big challenge. I don't know how we can get the politicians out of that. I remember one time we were doing some work in Malawi, and we took MPs to a small village called, it's along the Zambian border, I forget the name. In Chinji, yes. Public kind of MPs have been running away from their citizens, those who, that forum with the Malawi Economic Justice Network. Citizens said, we don't see you until you want our vote. 4 years, we only see you once or twice. Then the MP said, but when we show up here, you turn our houses into clinics, into bursaries, into this. Then the citizens said, but that is what you told us when you were looking for our votes. And then one MP got up and said, the challenge is that if you don't say it, your opponent will come and say it, and they will vote for your opponent, and they will not vote for you. So yes, a lot of work is needed to educate our citizens to be able to discern between what is possible and what is not possible in terms of the role of a member of parliament. When we're growing up in this country, in the curriculum in public education, we used to have what is called civics. I don't know whether it's still there in our curriculum or curriculums of most countries, where they teach us the responsibilities of citizens, the responsibilities of public office holders, and so on. Maybe some work needs to be done from that, have a responsibility in ensuring that people understand really what a member of parliament can and cannot do. Thank you very much.
Thank you for those useful insights. Last but not least, Sami Obeng.
Thank you so much. My friend Moses from Uganda spoke about ranking of members of parliament by civil society organizations. You sought to find whether there are similar things that are done elsewhere. Yes, there are. And many of them are also brought in such similar controversies. Ms. Lendo Trust does one in Kenya. There's one I know in Liberia. There's one in Ghana that actually had some major controversies by an organization called Odikro. There is, so they exist. I say that, yes, you've gotten a lot of the parliaments speak to whether the methodology is right, how better it could be done, and what have you. For us in civil society, I really think that many of the civil society organizations would be interested to have conversations with Parliament to even fine-tune, methodology issues. So that, because the essence of parliamentary monitoring civil society work is to be able to hold elected officials to account, right? Yes, we may not get all of the facts and information right, but if Parliament also take interest in the value of some of these tools, and we can be able to work together, we can make some very valuable outcomes out of it. So yes, there are many who have complained about the methodology. You have called it flawed. In some of the countries, some parliaments have even had real issues with these organizations, not wanting to see them around and all of that. It gets very crazy. But you spoke also about how can civil society organizations within the space work towards promoting some of the missing understanding so far as Parliament's work is concerned, access to the Hansard and its usefulness and all of that. I think associations like these, working with similar associations like those that are with civil society organizations. We coordinate the African Parliamentary Monitoring Organizations Network, which also holds similar conferences like these and what have you. There are branches within the various countries. Partnership within Parliament and civil society, or between Parliament and civil society, could be very, very valuable in ensuring that we are working together. Because after all, we are all looking for people being represented well. We are all looking at executives that are being overseen properly. We are all looking for accountability in the work that we do. My friend Dorisu from Nigeria literally validated the findings as director for Hansard. I'm happy to know that I was not really, I was not imagining things when I wasn't seeing things online. So I'm happy that he has confirmed that indeed I wasn't imagining things. That's really the reality of the day. But the sad reality, as he confirmed, is that there is no backlog. His department has done all the amazing work, but nobody is putting it out there, for some very interesting reason. Meanwhile, the National Assembly of Nigeria has a NAS TV, which live streams the proceedings every single day. So if you really don't want people to read what you've recorded, what your Hansard recorders have recorded in the Hansard, the citizens are watching you live and seeing what goes on and what does not go on. I really don't get the balance. But well, like I said in my presentation, in this era of live streaming versus Hansards, we must know that there is always that dichotomy that needs to be dealt with properly. Finally, Rosemary from Uganda asks whether it is the role of the Hansard department to educate, the public on the availability of the Hansard. In my closing statements, I did mention how interdepartmental relations on these matters get involved. That's why folks from other departments within the Parliament of Ghana, beyond just the Hansard department here, I pray that in similar CHEA AR conferences, you don't just limit it to, at least for the host country, you may want to invite the other departments to listen to some of these conversations and to be able to see how they can work collaboratively with you. But for those of us in civil society, we're very, very interested, especially those who do civil society parliamentary monitoring. We're very, very, very interested in what Parliament does, Parliament's work, and we're interested in some of these collaborations. I think if we would all come together and rally around the values that we all bring to the table, we can be able to do better in getting people to know that Hansards can be more than just verbatim reports that are captured on the floors of Parliament. Thank you.
Thank you. We've come to the tail end of our sessions, and thank you for the very fruitful discussions, and thank you, our presenters, and to you, the delegates, for your active participation. It's now time for me to bow out, and thank you for this humble duty. Over to you, MC Michael.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So please, kindly take note of the following announcements. As I mentioned earlier, we have the clinic to my extreme left. When you move out of this exit door, we have a doctor on site, we have nurses. If you have any ailments, you can see them and they would attend to you. Secondly, if you're a Muslim and you would like to carry out the Muslim prayer, kindly see any of the ushers. They will direct you to where you can carry out your religious duty. Then again, lunch is between 1 and 2 o'clock. We would appeal to each and every delegate that we stick to time, we return so that we can continue. From the program outline, you can notice that item number 6 for first session has been left out. So when we resume, we would begin from that end and carry on with session 2 and session 3. So it will be very, very crucial for you to return on time. Then again, during the presentation by the presenter from Kenya, you are going to get this item placed on your tables country by country. If you scan, you would have access to the document they intend to present. So we would plead that when you resume, country by country, you take note and then you scan the document that will be placed in front of you. So with this, I would plead that we kindly head towards the restaurant for our lunch. Thank you. My name has been Michael Kwabna Asante,